Alrighty, good evening, everybody. I'm Ryan, alongside Caleb here. We are Michigan Storm Chasers, back again here for our weekly live stream. We do it every Monday evening, 7 p.m. Go over the week ahead, as well as a few long-term details and information you should know about the upcoming week. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the stream. Please be sure to hit the like button for us. And as we always get started here with our shout out to our sponsor of the video, as always, Cats Roofing and Siding. Roofing, siding, gutter, and window needs across South Central Michigan, primarily out of Lansing and Battle Creek areas. They do service other areas. So, of course, feel free to give them a call and tell them MSC sent you if you happen to need some roofing, windows, siding, or gutters done on your residence. So we have a few things to talk about for this week, starting with tonight. In fact, we have a general thunderstorm category for pretty much the entire state tonight. That is because, going to the model here, we do have some thunderstorms expected to form overnight tonight for a good chunk of Michigan. Some much needed rain will be on tap for a good part of Michigan here. So with that being said, rainfall amounts will not be too overly meaningful or beneficial to our ongoing drought here. But we are going to get some much needed rain. That's for sure. Don't be shocked if you hear rumble of thunder overnight, but no severe weather is expected. It should just be a pretty typical rain and an occasional rumble of thunder. With that being said, let's go ahead and move into the upcoming week of temperatures. We do have a good chunk of the first part of the week there in the mid to upper 70s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well before we drop back after a cold front comes through. And that's going to swing temperatures back down into the mid to upper 50s. And as we move into the weekend, we should rebound just a bit back towards 60. But overall, we're going to have a nice stretch of summer-like weather. Could hit 80. In fact, the forecast for tomorrow is 80 degrees for a good part of lower Michigan. And that as well repeats on Wednesday for us all. Or should I say, Tuesday and Wednesday for us all here. So outside of that, a nice, pleasant week upcoming. Rain chances tonight, but after that, we are not really looking at too much in the way of precip for this week, but next week does look rainy. Go ahead and go long term. Here's our rain for overnight tonight. See it passing through there. And then we have our eyes set toward, guess when? Halloween, 31st of October. We're looking at a little bit of a rainmaker coming through here. Could get windy as well. A deep low pressure system is going to move into the region. That's going to spark some showers, maybe a few storms. I'm not going to rule that out. Nothing severe is expected, but gusty winds and some rain will likely work through with that cold front as early as Halloween afternoon. So we're looking at approximately Thursday afternoon here. That's going to really dictate who's going to see colder temperatures, who's going to see warmer temperatures as well, because with that cold front moving through the state, it's going to split the state in half. So if you're on the south and east part of the state, you have a better shot at staying warm for Halloween. If you're on the west or north part of the state, you're going to be looking at much cooler temperatures. In fact, if you're in the UP, we could be talking about our first accumulating snow. Okay, nothing set in certain yet, but models are hinting at some snow potential up there in the western UP toward Ontonagon, toward Felch, Ishpeming, Marquette, Iron River, those areas up in the UP. So keep an eye on that. But otherwise, for trick-or-treating, the majority of the state should be dry, just probably on the colder, probably on the windier side. If you're in the very far eastern half, though, we could see some lingering showers around that 6 p.m. time frame, but the majority of the rain should be moved out by the time trick-or-treating comes around by 6 or so in the evening. So that's your Halloween forecast. Going past that into the weekend, we're looking at, again, some rain into the weekend, Sunday and perhaps Monday as well. Some much-needed rain sticks around here. And we go off to our 7-day outlook here. I don't have a graphic for it, but basically Sunday and beyond, every single day has rain chances, and that's going to help us with our drought conditions significantly. Speaking of the drought conditions, we're looking at a large area of abnormally dry conditions or worse here in Michigan. We still have that severe drought in the UP, a good expansion there for northern lower. And again, that southern tip of Lenawee, Hillsdale, Monroe County still in a severe, and that area in Lenawee still within the extreme drought category. So we have not had beneficial rainfall or precip at all here. So we're heading into our end of fall and the winter season here in a drought. So we can kick this out of here before winter comes around. That'd be just fine. Hopefully we get some much needed rain. It looks like we will starting at the end of this week. Rainfall for Halloween shouldn't be too big of a deal. Just probably I'm going to guess probably a quarter inch, half inch at most. But after that, we should be looking at pretty much lost train of thought there. Pretty good solid rainfall into the weekend and early part of next week. Okay, that is your week ahead. Looking at a few other details here. Go ahead and run through the total precip accumulation off the GFS model. This is the total rainfall through Monday of next week there. We see a good chunk of the state getting an inch plus of rain. This model does have Southeast Michigan in a little bit drier zone, about a half inch of rain total. But that will likely increase into the early part next week as we have more significant rainfall expected here for the state. So A-okay by our part. Let's just hope we actually did it and not have to be dry for too much longer, because speaking of dry conditions, we do have fire risks as well. Tomorrow, because we're still so dry, the wind's going to pick up, and we're going to be looking at wind gusts upwards of 30 to 40 miles per hour for tomorrow. And with minimal rain expected tomorrow, again, that's going to be tonight, but tomorrow should be pretty much dry. We're looking at pretty much dry conditions and windy conditions, which is going to spark some fire potential as well as areas that are dry. Going to pop out the wind gust map here and show you guys wind gusts tomorrow. Here's your wind gusts. There we go, increasing into the afternoon there. You can see the purple colors there, 35, 40 mile per hour gusts there. A possibility as we get toward the early morning hours into the early afternoon hours before that subsides into Tuesday night. All right. I think I covered most of it. There's a lot to cover there. I think I jumped ahead and behind, and I'm sorry, that's all over the place. Overall, bottom line, warm next 2 days. A drop back off for Wednesday, a warm back up for Thursday, a drop back off for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rain chances overnight tonight. Don't be shocked if you hear rumble of thunder. The entire state is within that general thunderstorm category. It just means rumble of thunder is possible. No severe weather is expected. And then same thing applies for Thursday with that cold front. We're going to be looking at that swinging through the area. The entire state is in a general thunderstorm category. There is actually a severe risk off to our west for damaging winds. Keep an eye on that, although we don't expect it to move over into Michigan. We're going to keep an eye on it just in case. We could see some stronger gusts try to mix in, especially if we get an organized line, or the QLCS type of line, a low top QLCS. If that does manage to survive into Michigan, we could talk about some gustier winds upwards of 50 or so miles per hour, maybe some isolated severe. Right now, not a big deal, though. All right. With that being said, that's your week. Going ahead to the long term, the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook from the CPC continues to trend above average for the entire state. This is November 5th through November 11th. So the first and second week of November should trend above normal or above average. Now, again, your average is declining as we get into November and December and into winter months. So average is no longer 75 degrees. We're looking at probably closer to right around 65 to 70 degrees, about around that average or so. That's going to be the expectation going forward. So just because you see red does not automatically equate to warm temperatures. It just means average, warmer than average. Going to the precip, we're looking at about equal chances to above average in terms of precip. And that's not going to be a very high probability, a 30 to 40% probability of above average to precip. I do think there's a good chance we're going to see above average precipitation just based off model runs. We're looking at 1 to 3 inches pretty much statewide between now and the next 10 to 14 days. So that should make a dent in our drought conditions and also put us above average in terms of precipitation. CPC leans that way as well.
Yeah, especially over the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Yep.
We have some deeper systems move in.
Mm-hmm. All right. That is everything I have to cover. I'm sorry again. I know I kind of botched that up. I tried to go in order there, but there's just so much to talk about for each day. I had to kind of circle back around. So
yeah, definitely a roller coaster type of week ahead. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Let's see who's all joining us here this evening. We have Jack Attack, we have Kim, we have Crystal, Summer, Tommy, Julie, Teresa. Thank you guys all for watching. We appreciate it. We have Connor in here. We have Axe in here. Yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to put your questions in the chat here. We know we covered a lot. There's a lot going on here this week. So if you need us to go back and touch up on anything, let us know. Halloween, it's definitely a tricky forecast. And we will update that here throughout the week as well. So we won't leave you guys in the dark. We'll let you know what times are best for trick-or-treating, when and where. Feel free to put down the comments. Have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know, and we'll try to get to those as we can.
I see Pamela asked the question about when's snow.
Yeah, that's a good question. We can go back and look at that. That's kind of a loaded question, really. Right now, we don't have amounts right now. Here's what I can tell you, though. Over the last couple days, models and ensembles have been trending towards a cooler solution for the Western UP. And that kind of goes with a cold front arriving sooner than expected last week. Last week, it was a slower moving cold front or a later arriving cold front. Here over the weekend, models have really sped that up to an earlier time frame. That allows that cold front to come through during the day on Thursday rather than Thursday evening, which is good news for trick-or-treaters. It means a drier solution for Thursday night. However, that also means a colder solution for Thursday night. The Western UP could be in the low 30s, which could allow for some wet snowfall, given if we have any backside moisture associated with that low. That's really what we don't know, how much moisture will be there. We know the cold air will be there. It's just how much moisture will we have. In terms of accumulations, right now, I don't really see anything in terms of major accumulations by any means of the imagination. A couple reasons for that. One, limited backside moisture. You really need a lot of backside moisture to overlap with the cold air to really give you your snowfall accumulations. Another thing going forward here is how warm we are prior to arriving this cold front. Right now, the UP is going to have temperatures anywhere between the low 60s to the upper 70s. So that's going to allow ground temperatures to really warm up. That'll also slow the accumulations down a little bit, as the melting rates will be quite high, especially on roadways. Now, if we get a decent amount of moisture to allow for some higher snowfall rates, you could see perhaps some snowfall accumulations on grassy surfaces, elevated surfaces, as those rates surpass your melting rate. But ground temperatures are expected to be relatively warm, so that should help minimize accumulations, at least right now. If we see anything differently, we'll update that accordingly. But yeah, don't be surprised to see some wet snowflakes up there Thursday nights. So a trick or a treat, you can take it as you will, but don't be surprised to see some wet stuff up there. So
our UP friends definitely are anxiously awaiting their first snowfall here.
Absolutely. I think everyone is. Well, right now we don't see it being too big of a hassle, but if anything changes, we'll be sure to update that and let you guys know accordingly. So
I see a couple comments in here asking about snow outlooks for the year. We actually did drop our winter outlook a few days ago. We're going to go ahead and drop a link in chat for you guys. Check that out.
Yeah, and I'll put a brief synopsis in here for you guys in case you guys missed that winter outlook. Right now, I'll start with temperatures. Right now, we're trending towards average temperatures with equal chances. We could see it sway maybe just a tad above or tad below. There's really equal play there for it to go either way. We think it'll be cooler than last winter. We don't think it'll be quite as warm. So that's good news for snow lovers. In terms of precipitation, we do see it trending slightly above average. Right now, the trends are in our favor for slightly above average precipitation. Now, whether that means rain or snow will just depend on how much cold air we have at the time and where that sets up. But we do see above average precipitation through winter with temperatures right around average, but with equal chances of it trending slightly below or slightly above. So, and to give you a heads up, so average temperatures throughout the state of Michigan are right around 30 degrees. Really between that 30, 32 degrees is average. So we could see it trend, slightly above mid 30s to even slightly below. So it just kind of depends on what flavor we get. But right now we are trending near average with slightly above average precipitation. So for snow lovers, hopefully that means more snow. We'll just have to see what we get going forward. So, and again, we do have that winter outlook publicized on Facebook, and it's out there for you guys to read and look at. And we will update that as we get closer and more data becomes available. So, and here's your look at Halloween. Again, a quick refresher course here for Halloween outlook. Right now, we do expect a cold front to move through during the day on Thursday. That'll bring cooler temperatures in and some line of rain associated with that cold front. It won't be a big rainmaker. No severe weather is expected. There could be some slight chance of gusty winds mixing down along the cold front, but we don't think it'll be too big of an issue for you guys. The good news is for trick-or-treaters, A lot of that rain, the bulk of the rain, will be out of the area by evening, by that 7, 8 o'clock time frame. Slight chance of a shower in southeast Michigan, as well as some lake effect showers along the west side and the UP of Michigan with some backside moisture. But the bulk of the rain will be out of the area by trick-or-treating, we think. The warmest part of the state will be southeast Michigan. Around 6 p.m. is what we have this outlook out. We did it a little bit later in the day, just because we feel that's when most people are off work and are out trick-or-treating, is between that 6 to 7 p.m. time frame. Your warmest part of the state is southeast Michigan. However, keep in mind, this cold front is moving southeast. So as we progress through the evening, southeast Michigan will start off in the 60s, but will end the evening in the 50s as that cold front moves overhead and progresses to the southeast. So overall, not a bad outlook really for Halloween. A few isolated showers possible, especially in the UP, southeast Michigan, but really mild temperatures. Nothing too cold and nothing like we had last year with a snow event. We don't expect that at all, except maybe across the western UP where a few wet snowflakes are possible if that comes into fruition. But right now, really pleasant Halloween, really seasonable temperatures. This isn't a knock your socks off cold front, so just a real seasonal cold front, and yeah, overall pretty good weather, all things considered. So, see any other questions we have in here?
Yeah, I'm looking for some here.
Yeah, Leah, Tim, thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate you. We got Patty in here now. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Grand Rapids had that snow event last year. It wasn't a statewide event, but Muskegon, I believe, Ottawa counties over there, they got like almost a foot of snow on Halloween.
Yeah, it was impressive for an early season snow event, that's for sure.
It was also under forecast, if I remember correctly. The lake effect machine.
It was an overachiever.
Yep. Yeah, I think we were calling for like 4 to 6, ended up being like almost a foot.
Yeah, our ratio is over.
That happens sometimes.
Had a little bit more moisture than what was predicted, so a little bit cooler temperatures too. So everything overperformed last year. And
as a PSA for those of you watching here, for winter forecasting, we absolutely do it. We do snow forecasts, but you have to give us some leeway because we're basically taking an amount of precipitation that accumulates and trying to predict it to your backyard, which is very hard to do. You don't complain when we call for a half inch of rain, you get a 0.6 of an inch. So the equivalent of that can be a few inches of snow, though. So
yeah, and there's a little math involved too with winter forecasting. You're dealing with ratios, and really, there's a ratio between how much moisture you have and what temperature you have. So warmer air can hold more moisture. So there's a fine line. There's like a sweet spot that you want for maximizing your snow, and that's called a 10-to-1 ratio. 1 inch for of precipitable water. So if the air is holding 1 inch of water, you get an equivalent of 10 inches of snow. That's kind of your sweet zone, right at 32 degrees. So the warmer the air is, so let's say between 28 degrees and 34 degrees, that's kind of your sweet spot where you can maximize your water holding capability and equate that to snowfall. That's your sweet spot. So really, there's a strong correlation between how much water's in the air and how cold the air is to get your snowfall. So there's a lot of math involved, a lot of ratios involved. So that's what makes winter forecasting so tricky and takes twice as much time to do compared to warm weather, because you're dealing with those ratios and where those temperature gradients are. So a lot goes into it in the wintertime. Makes it fun and exciting too.
We're going to run a poll real quick in chat. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Ooh. Oh, mine has to be Reese's Cups. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups all the way. Something about peanut butter and chocolate. I mean, that's good any time of year, but that's where it's at.
I have 4 options. I have Reese's. I have Skittles. Maybe we should... I
am definitely Team Reese here.
Let's do this. Let's do chocolate. Let's do chocolate. Let's do fruity.
But I do like the little packets of like gummy bears too. Like those people that give those out. I'll tip my hat to you guys. How many of you guys actually eat candy corn though? Like, is that something you guys eat or like just use as decoration? I can eat a little bit, but candy corn gets old after a while, in my opinion. It's just kind of bland.
There, gotta pull up.
But if you stack candy corn, though, like in a circle and stack it, it actually looks like an ear of corn. I don't know how many of you guys have done that, but I was bored last year and we had a whole bunch of candy corn. And I actually stacked it on our table just to see how high I could get it. And it actually looks like an ear of corn. It's kind of cool. So if you're bored in the evening and have a lot of candy corn you don't want to eat, you can make an ear of corn out of it.
Let's see here.
Twix is good too. There's Sour Patch Kids. Oh yeah. Now Peeps is a no-go for me, Summer. I can't do Peeps. Do they make Peeps for Halloween? That's more.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do too. I just don't see them very much for Halloween. I see them come out in Easter time. Nerds gummy clusters, says Amanda. Now that's something I don't see very often, but like those nerd ropes, you remember those, or do they still have those? I remember trick-or-treating as a kid, and there was one house we go to that would always give out nerd ropes, and we definitely hit that place up. Yeah, it should be a good Halloween for everybody. So as that cold front moves through Thursday night, a little bit of rain moving across the state. We don't expect it to be a washout by any means. That rain should be out of the area by 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, with the exception of far southeast lower Michigan and the UP of Michigan. There was some backside moisture, so shouldn't be a washout. Mild temperatures really for the lower half of the state, cooler and colder as you go further northwest as that cold front progresses. So all in all, not a bad Halloween, really, all things considered here. Just plan on a few isolated showers, especially in lower half of Michigan. UP and Michigan plan on some colder showers and maybe some backside wet snowflakes as well. Nothing too major at this point in time. Travel shouldn't be an issue. We don't expect anything in the way of accumulations at this time. If we do see that becoming an issue, we'll update our maps and forecasts accordingly. But right now, with the limited backside moisture that we have and really warm ground temperatures, we aren't expecting accumulations to be a concern at all right now at this point. But as we move closer into fall, these backside or deeper low pressure systems will become more common where you see that transition from rain to snow on the backside of these systems here. Classic fall system here. We'll start to see more and more of these as we get closer to winter. No severe weather is expected at this time. There is a chance of maybe some gusty winds along the cold front Thursday night, but we don't think that'll be an issue at all. Nothing severe by any means of the imagination. Some gusty winds perhaps, maybe up to 30 miles an hour along that cold front. We are watching a system early next week that could bring our next round of rain around the Monday, Tuesday timeframe and of course over the weekend. So we are trending above average in terms of precipitation over the next 1 to 2 weeks. So that is great news for the drought across the state right now. Something else I want to touch on though is tomorrow into Wednesday. We are going to see some non-thunderstorm wind gusts out of the southwest. Sustained at 15 to 25 miles per hour, but we could see some gusts to 35 to 40 miles per hour in isolated spots. What this will do, as we see these wind speeds combined with really warm temperatures, upper 70s to low 80s, this will perhaps increase the fire danger a little bit, especially in dry fields and grasslands where underbrush is already very dry from the lack of precipitation and with the amount of fallen leaves that we have too. Brush fires may spread rapidly tomorrow over the next 2 days with the warm temperatures and strong winds. So if you guys are burning tomorrow, burn smart, have it contained, and have a way to put it out if need be. Try not to burn anything too large to where anything can get out of hand very quickly with these warm temperatures and strong winds that we have over the next 2 days. So when in doubt, and have a way to manage it if you do burn tomorrow.
Also, make sure you're checking your restrictions because there are some counties, especially northern Michigan, that have burn bans in effect.
Yeah.
So make sure that there are no burn bans in effect if you do decide to burn.
Yeah, if your county is in a burn ban, local EMAs have different standards on that, but a lot of times it means no open pit burning or no burning at all. So do check with your local county EMA. They usually have that posted on their website or on the county's website as well. So,
and there's also, if you live in northern Michigan, basically north of M10 or US 10, for example, I'll throw intro list in here. There's a website from the DNR. It's www. In fact, let me just go ahead and drop a link in chat for you guys.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
If you live north of US 10, they do have designations already in effect. And as you can see, the brown indicates that there are burn bans for the entire shade area here.
And there are still few active brush fires, especially across the UP. I know there's at least 2 or 3 of them still burning, aren't there, Ryan?
Yeah, I was going to check on that actually today, but I forgot to. But yeah,
especially with the fallen leaves that we have now, as we are peaking in our color, there's going to be more and more underbrush drying out, and leaves burn very quickly and can spread fires very rapidly as well. So if you guys are burning tomorrow, burn smart. When in doubt, put it out and have a way to contain that fire. If you are burning, just because of how windy we are, things can spread very fast, and we just don't want to see that tomorrow. So do keep that in mind if you guys are planning on burning. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat here. Again, thanks for joining us tonight on this Monday evening. Really a pleasant Monday night, really. I'm definitely excited for the warmer temperatures tomorrow. Could have some record highs tomorrow.
I was going to mention that
and also
too.
some record lows, not because it's so cold, but because it's so warm. We could have some record low highs tomorrow night as well. So something to keep an eye on as well.
I see a
It's
question.
Not get very cold.
See a question. I was further back up here about the aurora chances tonight. It was a dud last night, for being honest. Only really visible in UP. The north-south field didn't flip south to allow the aurora to build. So last night was a dud. Tonight, it does not look likely. There's a G1 forecast for tonight, which would be like northern Michigan areas. But right now, data just does not look to cooperate with us. So we're going to go ahead and say not really high at this point. If that changes, we'll post, but it's not looking likely. Summer, I'll have to check out the records for tomorrow, but I believe they're mid to upper 70s. So if we can get toward 80 degrees, we'll likely break records tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think quite a few areas, especially across southern Michigan, have a decent shot at breaking some records tomorrow. So by a degree or two. So definitely near record highs, if not record highs for areas tomorrow.
Yeah, when you're looking at long-term models, Brett, once you get past like the 5 to 7 day and it keeps on telling you snow, just don't believe it. I'll tell you this. We said it last week. I'll say it again. The GFS model for this system for Halloween was throwing out almost 2 feet of snow for the entire state of Michigan. That's long-range models that sometimes can get shared around social media as, a big snowstorm is coming and it gets a lot of shares and likes and views, and don't share model data, publicly like that.
Yeah.
So when you tell us that, hey, the GFS is showing snow for the 9th of November, cool. I mean, that's still 13 days away. Yeah, it ain't gonna hold.
Long range forecast models aren't generally used to make a forecast. They're used to look for trends in the pattern, in the overall pattern. We don't use those to make forecasts, especially in the near term. What we do, how we make our forecast based on that. So we use long-term models to look for trends, to see what's kind of coming down the pipeline and to see how it's trending. The trend is usually your friend. As we get in the near term, which is the 2 to 5 day range, we start moving to what's called the numerical models. Those are our short-term models. Those models are really good, especially because they have more data available to them. This allows us to look at the mesoscale details, as in moisture, how much moisture we have, what our temperatures are trending, the near-term data. It's something called a process called sampling. Once a low-pressure system is over the continental United States, there are weather balloons that go up, and they take real atmospheric soundings as well as airplanes. A lot of airplane data the National Weather Service will use as data take off, or airplanes take off from airports. They sample the air as they're going up the air column, and we can take those soundings as well. And all that goes into those forecast models for near term. That way we have more accurate data on what the actual atmosphere is doing at that time, not a guess or based on an algorithm. We actually have that data and it's being analyzed. That's kind of the difference between near term and long term. Long term is just an algorithm based on trends, versus near term, it's real actual data put into an algorithm. So we have a little bit of a better interpretation of what's going on. So take those long range with a grain of salt. For example, it can say a foot a day, or a foot of snow one day and 60 degrees the next. That's just how those long range models are. It's nothing more than just an algorithm based on trends. So take them as a grain of salt. Don't take them as a forecast.
I see about 4 or 5 people asking for a recap. So I'm going to recap everything very briefly here. So starting with temperatures upcoming week here, tomorrow and Wednesday will be on the warmer side, close to 80 degrees in southern Michigan, mid to upper 70s for the rest of Michigan. We're going to drop off for Thursday, which is your Halloween. And going back to that map we just had up, your Halloween forecast, a cold front moves through. And then that'll also usher in rain chances come Thursday morning and afternoon. And then as we get toward the weekend, we're going to dry out. But again, Sunday and onward looks to be very rainy into early next week. Some much needed rainfall, 1 to 3 inches currently expectation. Perhaps some drought busting rain then. That's your forecast, although we do have some rain chances tonight into the morning tomorrow. We are in a general thunderstorm risk for tonight. Wrong one. Hold on. There we go. The entire state under a general thunderstorm risk. Going back to the model here, going back to the simulated reflectivity. Here's your forecasted radar for the future. There's your rain popping up there. Nothing really on radar now, but it will pop up across Lake Michigan. This is at 1 a.m. tonight. And then we could see some rumbles of thunder with that. We're going to call it band or two that moves through the state. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Rumble of thunder, no severe weather no severe weather expected. We'll keep an eye on it just in case, although I really don't think it doesn't really have much anything to work with tonight. So if it does, it'll be a miracle. But otherwise, it won't be too much of a drought busting rain. Go ahead and look at precipitation totals here real quick. If I can find it. There it is, top. About 0.2 of an inch, perhaps a 1/4 inch in some spots. Nothing too major with that. But again, we'll take all we can get at this point. So even if it's a 1/4 inch, we'll take it, especially up there for northern Michigan. But yeah, so rain chance, storm chances overnight tonight, nothing severe. Warm tomorrow, warm Wednesday, warm to start your Thursday. Cold front comes through, more rain chances for Halloween. And then we dry out for Friday, Saturday, more rain chances for the weekend and to start next week. We're going to have pretty much rain every single day. At least the expectation right now will be rain for every single day. That's your forecasted week ahead.
Yep. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We love reading those. We love answering those. Again, thanks for joining us. It's always fun to hang out Monday night and talk weather and
Absolutely
see how you guys are doing too. So
we'll also, if you guys want to catch us more relaxed and more open, we do podcasts every Wednesday evening during the off season.
Yep.
So when severe weather is not happening or there's no big snowstorms to keep an eye on, we'll be live on YouTube, only YouTube, set Wednesdays, 7 p.m. for our podcast. We talk about a multitude of things, from Q&As to past tornadoes. If you guys want us to talk about it, we'll talk about it. So we'll be live here 2 days, Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yep. Summer asks, what happened if we don't get out of the drought before we get to snow? Well, we'll still be in a drought, really. Snow accumulations will help the drought, especially if we get a snowpack, just because that melting snow will equate to rainfall. Usually not much. Really, that just... so there's a ratio that you can equate snowpack to precipitable water. How much water equates there? It's not a lot, but when that melts, that does percolate into the ground and does help our water table come springtime. So we are hoping for a good snowpack. We'll just ultimately have to wait and see what we get here this winter and see what we get. But yeah, hopefully over the next 1 to 2 weeks, that should help the drought. Will it get rid of the drought entirely? I don't think so, just because we're so far behind. But will this help? Absolutely. The next 1 to 2 weeks are going to be very beneficial for the state of Michigan, especially those that have active fires burning right now. It's looking very good for that. So it should help us out quite a bit. How cold Thursday night? It's going to get chilly. That cold front's going to move through during the day on Thursday. That'll bring some rain across the state. But Thursday night, a lot of the state will be in the low 30s and even some 20s in some spots, especially across the UP. It's going to get chilly. But during the evening, during trick-or-treating, not looking too bad, pretty mild for the most part. Warmest area of the state across southeast lower Michigan, 6 p.m. looking to be in the 60s from Ann Arbor down to Jackson and further southeast. And then the further northwest you go in the 50s and 40s. And then up in the western UP, Ontonagon, you're looking probably in the 30s. So that's kind of your temperature gradient from southeast to northwest. So warmer southeast you go and colder further southwest you go, but not looking to be a washout. Most of the rain should be out of the region by trick-or-treating, with the exception of far southeast Michigan, maybe some lingering showers there. And then the UP will have some showers and perhaps some snow showers as well, but no accumulations expected at this time. So Tracy asks, what is a sundog? That's a good question. Many of you guys saw a sundog here this evening and even a halo to the southwest. And that is caused by a process called refraction. So just like how a rainbow is formed, where sunlight refracts through a raindrop, if you guys know what a prism is, when sunlight hits a prism, the light is scattered into colored light. It's called refraction. And so the same process happens in the upper atmosphere, and that is actually caused by ice crystals suspended in the air, often most commonly seen through cirrus clouds or cirrostratus clouds. That's kind of what we had here. You had kind of a film of clouds above our heads. That was cirrus clouds or cirrostratus clouds, and those are jam-packed full of ice crystals. It is very cold up there, often minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty stinking cold. And those ice crystals have to be arranged in a certain way to get a sun halo or a sundog. A lot of times you have to have columns or plated structures aligned in just the right way. And when the sunlight hits that, it refracts. And as it refracts, you see the sundogs, often on the far right, far left side of the sun, equal distance. And you can see, just like a rainbow, you can see the color spectrum there. If they're aligned perfectly and if you're in the right spot at the right time, you can see it very vibrant. Otherwise, it'll look like a bright light or a bright white spot on the far right and far left of the sun. And a halo forms in just the right way. If those ice crystals are rectangular or not rectangular, octagonal columns, you can get a full halo as well. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's a cool science to it. If you're really lucky, you can get a full halo with sundogs and with all the curvature called tangents as well. That's a loaded 22-degree halo. We saw that a couple weeks ago statewide that lasted all day. So yeah, we do see them from time to time, and they are pretty cool to watch. So
we actually posted a graphic on our page earlier with a little bit of a visual on it. So feel free to go check that out. 2 or 3 hours ago, I have to say.
Yeah, and we did do an informational video on it too. We may post that tomorrow. That'll further explain, how they form, how they're seen, and kind of go into the science a little bit of halos. They are pretty cool. Very similar formed to how a rainbow is formed, except it's through ice crystals rather than raindrops. So it is pretty cool.
See a couple questions here. So Jack asked, do you think we'll get a wind advisory? I'm going to say no. That's not.
We're kind of borderline on that criteria. Really, for a wind advisory, what you have to have is sustained winds of 31 to 39 miles per hour through a certain time frame, and we're going to be just below that tomorrow. So I don't expect any wind advisories to be issued. I wouldn't be surprised to see a special weather statement out. The National Weather Service in northern Indiana does have some special weather statements out for the southern counties along the Michigan-Indiana border, and that actually has to do with fire danger tomorrow. The combination of warm temperatures, strong winds can create brush fire conditions. So that's why those are issued, but I don't expect any wind advisories tomorrow at this time. So
I think, sorry, I'm losing my mind over here tonight. I'm tired. Alpha asks, do you think this week will be the last week of warm weather for the year? I'm going to say
It might be the
probably
last week for 80s.
Yeah.
There's a brief warm-up come Monday, but it's not going to be as warm as what we're going to be the next 2 days. Monday and the Tuesday of next week, there's a chance we see some low 70s, upper 60s throughout the state as our next big system moves in. But our days are definitely numbered. They're severely numbered right now. 80s, this might be our last shot at 80s. There's a good chance of that. Could they happen again? It could, but it's becoming harder and harder to get those warm temps this far north. And that's another reason why we're so windy tomorrow. The reason we're so warm tomorrow is because of that strong wind pulling up that warmer air from the south, from the Gulf of Mexico. That's how we get warm this time of year. Our heat doesn't always come from the sun as we're tilted further away. A lot of it comes from the Gulf. And a lot of that is thanks to these deeper, larger systems sweeping across the country. It scoops up that warm air and transports it north. But as soon as that system moves away, we're cold again. So that's pretty much how we get this warm this time of year, is all thanks to those setups. So they're definitely numbered. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Again, thanks for joining us here on this Monday night. We have time for a few more questions here. Feel free to drop those in, and we appreciate you. Isaac asked, off topic, but do any of you guys play instruments? No, the only instrument I played was recorder in grade school, but I wouldn't count that. But I do not play a musical instrument, no. My dad plays the trombone, and my mom played the trumpet, but I don't play anything. Ryan, do you play an instrument of any kind?
The only instrument that I've ever played is the squeaky chair.
The squeaky chair?
That's the only instrument I've ever played.
The notes are rather flat, though. I mean, they definitely don't make a harmony by any means of the imagination. They're sharp and they're flat. They're just bad. Yeah. You guys thought nails on a chalkboard were bad. Try trying to concentrate and working with him squeaking in the background.
Every day.
Oh my gosh. Like, get a can of WD-40 or some PB Blaster or something and just
Caleb,
the heck out of that chair.
The OGs in chat know what we're talking about here, but it's been WD-40, it's been lubricated, it's been Vaseline. Nothing works. I actually had to replace the chair, and now this chair is squeaking.
I will personally buy a tube of grease for you to soak that thing in. Oh my goodness. Oh,
that's all right, folks. Thanks for watching.
On that note, this is the real behind the scene talk here at MSC. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Again, they don't have to be weather related. We're just kind of hanging out. We've kind of gone through the week here. If you guys want a full recap, go back to the beginning of the video. We've mentioned it here a couple times of what the week, next 1 to 2 weeks look like here and what's coming down the pipeline. And then our Halloween forecast is updated on our page. Feel free to check that out. And as always, here on Wednesday nights, we do a weekly podcast where it's just kind of open bar style a little bit. We'll discuss, last week we discussed went into tornadoes a little bit throughout the state of Michigan. We did a review on those. And haven't quite decided what we're going to do this Wednesday here, but it should be a good time. And yeah, we hope to see you there. It's only on YouTube. Starts at 7 p.m. And we answer questions, we hang out, and we talk, kind of go behind the scenes a little bit more in depth about weather.
And we do giveaways too occasionally. I'm not going to promise any for this Wednesday, but we do occasionally give stuff away. So.
Yep. Always a good time there with that. Josh Reed asks, severe chances in my area anytime soon? I knew Reed Timmer was talking about it. So there is a very active pattern right now, but for the state of Michigan, severe weather chances are really rather null. Not really seeing everything come together. to be able to have severe weather right now. This time of year, it's harder to get everything to come together for severe weather for the state of Michigan. There is a marginal risk for the state of Wisconsin here in the coming days, but that's really for damaging winds. We don't expect that to move into the state of Michigan at this time. If we do see anything move into the western UP, it'll be on a lighter scale, damaging winds, 45 to 60. But right now, I don't see anything coming into the state that really poses a risk at this time. The ingredients aren't really coming together for that. So right now, I don't see really anything for the state of Michigan near term. But again, we can get severe weather in fall in the state of Michigan. Just right now, we don't see anything coming together at this time to allow that to occur. Again, what we look for is our slim factor. We have to have wind shear. We have to have lift, instability, and moisture. A lot of times in fall, you have bits and pieces of those ingredients, but you don't have everything come together to form severe weather. The main two factors that we have in fall, usually in abundance, is shear and lift. We usually have a lot of lift and a lot of wind shear, both in speed and direction with height. That's pretty classic in these fall systems. But two ingredients that we don't often get is instability and moisture. It's really hard to get moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico to come all the way north in the state of Michigan this time of year. It's just hard to do. So usually with one or two of those ingredients lacking, you can get some gusty showers, but you don't really get the ingredients to come together to allow everything to for severe weather to form. So it's harder to happen this time of year. But if we do see anything or see those ingredients coming together, we'll let you guys know. But right now, it's nothing to worry about. So. Any other questions you guys have here before we sign out for the night? Again, just thank you guys for joining us here this evening. Always a pleasure to have you on and hang out with us on this Monday night. Who's all looking forward to the above average temperatures coming in the next 2 days? I know I am for one. But I'm also excited for snow too. So it's a bittersweet thing for me.
The poll results on YouTube were 65% for chocolate, 12% other, 10% fruity, and 10% sour candies.
Okay.
On Facebook, though, it's not letting me view the results for some reason.
Well, the good news is for those of you having chocolate, it should be a pretty good night for chocolate without you guys having to worry about it melting. So that is a plus. It's not going to melt in your basket, or at least it shouldn't melt in your basket Thursday night. So that is a plus. Of course, they don't often last in my basket long enough for them to melt. I usually eat them pretty quick.
All right, here's the results for the Facebook poll. Chocolate, again, number 1, 69%. Other, number 2, 17%. Sour candy at 8%. Fruity candy at 6%. That was your favorite Halloween candy.
Yeah, good variety there.
And with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here. See one more question from Cyndaquil. How are your pets? Pippi is just fine. She is, I can't really say, she's been annoying lately. Waking me up at night and yeah, just her usual self, but more annoying lately.
And I don't have any pets on the inside of my house. I do have a dog. His name is Benny. He is outside right now, either chewing on a corn cob or sleeping in the barn in his kennel. I'm not really sure what he's doing right now, but yeah, he should be. He's pretty good usually. So. All right. With that being said, guys, thank you guys for joining us here this evening. Ryan, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. Just thanks you guys for watching. We'll be back on here Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. to hang out and talk with you guys, talk weather, anything you guys want to do. Let's hang out together and let's have some fun. Let's have a good time. So
absolutely.
Come back Wednesday, 7 p.m. here on YouTube. With that being said, we're going to pop out of here. You guys have a great night, and we'll keep you guys updated for this busy week upcoming.
And we'll see you Wednesday night.